guys. Welcome back to the podcast. If you're new here, welcome. My name is Nelly. I usually say I'm consistent and I will upload a podcast episode every Sunday, 11 p.m. Malaysian time, but I never do that. So it's usually just a surprise. But again, why did I take a break? I took a break because school was getting so much. It was getting like very hectic. Honestly, it became too hectic. It was very demanding. I had project deadlines coming up fast. They were coming in fast, let me tell you. There was no time to breathe. It was just deadlines and deadlines and deadlines. What other update do I have? Oh, yeah, I got a hamster. I got a hamster that I was taking care of for a few days. And honestly, let me tell you guys something. If there's something that just makes me happy, it's taking care of hamsters and animals. He was so cute. Honestly, he was so cute. I was with him for about 3 days. I was actually babysitting for one of my friends who got a hamster. But on the third day, unfortunately, he did not die. But on the third day, unfortunately, I got an allergic reaction. And I think it's because I had spent the previous day with him. The previous day, the whole day, I was with him in my room, didn't leave my room except when going for food, had him walk around my room, walk on my table and on my bed. And that night, I went to sleep with a sore throat, with a stuffy nose, runny nose, and congested lungs, which when I went to the clinic, I was told I have an allergic reaction. And I immediately, not immediately, but after talking to a few people, we kind of linked that reaction to the hamster. So that's why I don't have him with me anymore. But I really do miss him because he was just an amazing pet to have around. He was just keeping me busy. And honestly, after a very hectic semester, there was no way I was going to feel motivated to record a podcast or to record anything else. So, what was working for me was staying with the hamster, and he was making me feel very relaxed, like I had to take care of something. He's more like a child, honestly. He's like a child. So I felt like, I have to check if he's eaten, if he's taken his shit and stuff like that. Make sure he drinks enough water, make sure he comes out, check if he's alive. Because I don't know if anyone has a hamster, you do know that if they're in their cage and you've closed them in, they kind of just sleep. They just sleep until you open that cage, and then you'll see the things it will do. It will move all around the cage, outside the cage, try and jump out of the container, try and jump out of the cage. And honestly, it's a hyperactive animal, especially at night. I think hamsters are nocturnal animals, if I'm not mistaken. That's what I was told. They're nocturnal animals. So that means obviously at night, the hamster is going to move. So again, with the hamster in my room, I wasn't getting enough sleep because at night I'd hear something being thrown, something throwing stuff, something hitting against metal. And turns out it was him trying to leave the cage and leave the container that his cage was in so that he could come out. But I couldn't let him come out because he can escape very easily. Hamsters fit through like small spaces very easily. And at night, I sleep with my windows open, and I just didn't want to risk having someone else's hamster leave my room when I was supposed to take care of it. And it had only been here for 3 days. So, yeah. So that's one of the most important things I have been doing ever since my last podcast. Yeah, I think that's like my biggest highlight. The hamster. He is an amazing pet, an amazing companion. And if I didn't have any reaction to it, I would have kept him here longer. Honestly, I'd have kept him here for like maybe 4, 5 days, maybe, or like a week or 2 weeks, and then given him back to his owner. Although his owner didn't really want him, but I would have given him back to his owner eventually. So, yeah. The other thing that has been taking my time is a lot of my schoolwork. I had a mad number of projects this semester. And honestly, it was just projects, prototype development, prototype presentation, final project, integrated project presentation, integrated project submission, video submissions for God knows what. I had entrepreneurship this sem. I had, it's just been a lot of presentations and submissions of documents. So for me, it kind of felt like I was doing a lot of work, but I wasn't really in my space. Like, I wasn't really in my space. Like, I understand I'm doing my work and stuff like that, but I didn't have time to actually care for myself and blah, blah, blah. I noticed like my hygiene supplies, they're almost done. And honestly, I did not have time to go get new hygiene supplies. And I kind of just, I'm using what I have here. So basically, I do not have my sunscreen. And for like 2 weeks now, I have not been using sunscreen. I should go and get sunscreen, but I have exam. My exams are finishing on 15th of August, and I just really want to make sure I give it my best before I finally end the semester, because I'm not about to have the anxiety of feeling that I could have done better if I gave my exam preparation more time and more effort. So I don't want to have the anxiety after of like results and whatnot and blah blah blah. I don't want to have that anxiety. So yeah, what else has happened? Oh, on the 5th of this month, which is August, I turned 21, and I'm going to do a whole other podcast episode where I will be talking about like my plans for myself as I go to as I progress, like, you know, as a 21-year-old. I feel like you need to have like goals and like ambitions for every year. I don't do those at the beginning of the year because I feel like I'm still in that 21 whatever. But I really, really try my best to do my New Year resolutions when I turn a year older, so that I can say at 21, I want to have achieved this much. Or like by 30, I have a goal to have achieved this much. So what can I do while I'm 21 to help me achieve that? So this year, which I haven't really done, but the plan is actually to be self-aware, be more self-aware, um, and nurture myself to be I feel like at 21 you start becoming a woman. At 20, I was still, you know, kind of like, oh, am I there? Am I there yet or not? But I feel like at 21 is when you start nurturing yourself to become a woman. So you're working towards womanhood and just working towards making yourself a better person in terms of your career, in terms of your emotions, your physical health, and your financial goals as well. I'm almost 30. I literally have less than 10 years to be 30. So there's also a place that I want to see myself by the time I'm 30. So how do I start planning for my financial goals and for my physical goals, emotional goals now, and my spiritual goals as well? Because I tend to forget my spiritual growth goals. Um, so this year I'm not sure how I'm going to arrange it, but I think I'm going to do like financial goals, spiritual goals, emotional, physical, and just I think 21 is my time to work on me. And then after, I could see if I want to relationships build relationships and be with someone so that I could focus on now, you know, starting my family and stuff like that. Basically, that's what I am thinking now. So yeah, that's all I've been up to, honestly. What are my plans after the final exam? Obviously, is number one is just to plan my goals for the next coming year and probably actually start working on those goals, because one of the reasons I started the podcast was to build my confidence and my self-esteem, but also to have it as a major source of income for myself, because as I grow older, I'm realizing I'm not going to be depending on my parents anymore. There's a point your parents will start depending on you. And I want to be at a place where I can offer my emotional support, my physical support, financial support to my parents, to my family. I have younger brothers. I want them to feel like they look up to me and they're like, oh, you know, when I grow up, I want to plan stuff the way Nelly has planned her stuff, and just like work on myself so that by the time I'm 30, I'm self-independent. I'm an independent person. I rely on myself. I don't have to rely on other people to make things work out for me. So that's like very important for me. So this semester break is going to be a lot of working on myself. Also, I just made a very, very close friend, and I feel like I tend to most of my friendships, I believe like most of the friendships I have even now, it feels more one-sided. Like the people I'm friends with are usually older and they're offering me advice, and I want to feel like the person who can offer advice to someone who's younger than me. I'm always going to advise for people, but no one ever comes to advice for me because I have refused, not purposely, but I think in my mind, I have refused to grow myself intellectually and in terms of my maturity and exposure to like different stuff. Don't have enough experience, and I feel like that holds me back, especially when I need to advise someone on something. So usually the advice I would give is probably educational, but now I feel like at my age I should be able to give someone advice about how to care for themselves, how to, you know, manage their relationships with other people, manage their relationships with God. I feel like you're now at the age where people look up to you, and I just really want to work on that for myself. It's going to be a very interesting semester break. And also, I'm going to start uploading podcasts every time. I'm trying to improve my eloquence as, I continue this journey on my podcast. And honestly, I'm just looking forward to everything. So, yeah, I think that's all from me. This podcast is going to come to an end because I didn't want it to be long. I do not want it to be long because long stuff just don't make sense to me, honestly. It doesn't make sense to me to have extremely long stuff. So this is going to be the end of the podcast. That is just like an update for myself and for the very few people who listen to this podcast. Thank you so much for listening, and I will see you guys on the next podcast.